What is happening, people? Here is your opposition preview for Manchester City versus Tottenham in game week 2. I'd like to start this off by thanking Gary Ward for hosting my podcast on Monday, because I am away, still am as well, on holiday in Corsica, France, with my family. So I want to thank him for stepping in and hosting that. Hope you can hear me well and see me well as well. If you're listening on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. If you're listening after on a podcast platform, please drop us a follow and a 5-star review, whether you're listening on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, or another podcast platform. But let's introduce the opposition fan for today. I'm delighted to be joined by Josh Thomas from the City Shack. Josh, how are you? And talk to people a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, hi Harry, you okay? I'm Josh from the City Shack. Mainly just an independent City account. On TikTok, Facebook, and on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it now. Not fortunate enough to be on holiday like yourself, but ready to go.
Lovely stuff. Thank you. Let's get straight into it then. How are you feeling about this season? Obviously, one game in for both clubs. For you beat Wolves 4-0 away. Has that given you any more confidence about maybe what you can achieve this season?
Yeah, a lot more hope after the Wolves game than there probably was before the Wolves game. I think the Club World Cup was a bit of a strange one. We started off really well, and obviously the Al Hilal result kind of sent the fan base into a bit of a meltdown. I think a lot of weaknesses kind of crept back in defensively. I think the biggest thing we needed to address was to get rid of a lot of the older players that, mainly in midfield, a lot of the legs have gone. But I feel like Pep's done that this year, brought in Cherky, Reinders, who's been absolutely fantastic. We can't get too carried away after one result against Wolves, which we do normally have a good record against Wolves in general anyway. I think the big test is going to be at the weekend against you guys to see, where we're really at. With Tottenham being a bit of a bogey team as well. It's always one of them. Like, for me, I hate playing against Tottenham. Always have. For years, I've hated playing against Tottenham. So it is going to be a big test this weekend.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you for your honesty. I mean, you are top of the league, am I right in thinking, with Sunderland close behind?
That's right, yeah. We can't get too carried away, like you say. With Sunderland being second, I don't think it's going to change too much, to be honest. I think it's going to change a lot, should I say, between obviously now and the end of the season. But hopefully we stay at the top.
Okay, thank you very much. You've got a +4 goal difference. But can I ask you about what your hopes and expectations are this year? Is it to reclaim the Premier League, to reclaim the Champions League? Is it both?
I think, for City, I think we've always got to be aiming to win the title. Always in hope, for me personally, rather than expectation. I don't think you can ever expect to win the Premier League. I think that'd be crazy, but you've always got to hope. I think City have always got to aim to win the title. That's always got to be on the agenda going into the new season. I think it's between 3 teams personally: City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And really, it could go any way. I think it's just going to depend on that experience going into the back end of the season, like it always is. We always come good at the start of the season. And then at the end of the season, it tends to be a little bit of a drop-off within that mid-period that we just need to kind of stay focused with.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the transfer window before we get into the game itself. What have you made on the transfer window so far from a City point of view? We've got a few days left. We've got 11 or 12 days at the time of recording. Are you happy with what you've seen, including signings?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the signings. I actually want to just stop right now, to be honest, in terms of transfers in. I think transfers out, there needs to be a few more gone. I think Pep likes a smaller squad. He's alluded to that many a times. The squad's far too big at the moment. There's players in that squad that you probably forget even play for City. For example, Calvin Phillips, still there. Yeah. Obviously got injury problems at the minute, but there's a lot of players that we need to get rid of. In terms of obviously there's talk of Donnarumma, Rodrigo. Rodrigo will obviously only happen if Savio joins you guys at Tottenham. That's the only way that's going to happen. For me, I'm not interested personally in Donnarumma. I don't think he's a Pep-style goalkeeper, although he is probably the best keeper in the world. For me, I just think just brought James Trafford in. I think he's got great potential, and I think we need to be sticking with him, even if it is going to be a case of Edison number 1 for a year, with him being out of contract at the end of the season, coming in and then being number 1 at the end of next year. Donnaruma's only 26, so it's going to be two number one keepers clashing, and that never works.
No, it doesn't. We've seen it everywhere, haven't we? But who would you say, if you had to pick one, what signing do you think is your best signing, or maybe the most exciting one for City fans?
I think Reinders is the best signing we've made so far, looking at it. Not just in terms of his performance against Wolves. I just think on paper he's a City player. Everything about him is a City player. He just seems like a Gundogan regen. He really does. High energy box to box midfielder, can score goals, can defend, versatile. He's everything we've needed in midfield and lacked last year.
Okay, that's good to hear. Can I ask you about Slovenia? Because obviously he's linked to Tottenham. So, Josh, the first question to you on that is, how highly is Slovenia firstly rated among City fans? Is he very highly rated? And do you think City may make a mistake if they let him go? Is it too soon to let him
go? Sorry. I think there's a bit of a divide between the fan base on that, really. There's this fear that we're going to have the Cole Palmer situation again, where we let somebody young with a lot of potential go and it comes back to bite us. Obviously, that has rarely happened with City in the past, to be honest. There's very few occasions we've let a player go and it's come back to bite us. Pep tends to make a really good judgment on that kind of thing. Obviously, there is always that fear that could happen, but I think if we can get 68 to 70 million, which is what's being touted at the moment, I think it's a deal that a lot of City fans will be happy with, and we're willing to take a risk on that. His assist-wise, he was good last year. He got 8, which I think was the most of any City player last year in all comps. But his goal return, I think he only scored 1 last year. His finishing needs a lot of work. But the potential's there, definitely. I think as well with it being a World Cup year for him, I think he's looking at his minutes and probably thinking, I'm probably not going to get those minutes that I need to really progress. And as we know, with the World Cup year, it's a massive thing for players, isn't it? So I do think for himself, I think he's probably looking at it and thinking, I might need a move. And normally, if a player is asking to leave, Pep won't stand in the way. Although somebody looks like they are standing in his way at the moment, which looks like it's Ferran Soriano.
Yeah.
Why that is, personally, I think it's more of a Tottenham thing than it is a fear of having another Cole Palmer. I think there might be something with Levy and himself. I don't know that for sure, but I think after Saturday, that will start moving personally.
I have to say, indeed. What do you think he can bring to this Tottenham team if my club did sign him?
Yeah, it was very direct player. He does run at players. He's got that Brazilian magic, that Brazilian flair that everybody likes to see. Definitely got the potential to excite. Again, he's only 21, so he could go either way at this minute in time. But if he's starting every week, I think he could bring a lot of flair to Tottenham's starting 11.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'd be excited if I was a Tottenham fan getting him. Definitely.
That's good to hear. It's really good to hear from a City fan. Do you deep down believe he'll be a Man City player come the end of the window? Will he be a Tottenham player come the end of the window? Will he be playing for a different club? How do you view it?
I think he'll be playing for Tottenham after Saturday. Yeah. And if I have to put money on it now, I'm quite confident that he'll be playing for Tottenham after Saturday. All the noise is that he's on the way out. It's just a case of agreeing a fee with Levy. Obviously, Tottenham have gone for Eze. That's not worked out. I think that's caused a bit of a problem as well, because it looks like Levy's decided to kind of put Savio on the back burner and go after Eze instead. Obviously, that's not worked out, and now he's coming back, and it's obviously only going to cause further issue. That might even drive the price up a little bit from a City point of view. I think if Levy wants him, though, I think the fee is there, the fee's set, and I do think he will pay it, just because of a lack of options in the transfer market at the moment as well, especially ones that are Premier League ready.
Absolutely. The market is getting thinner and thinner. You did mention it earlier about Pep saying the squad was too big, he liked a smaller squad, and you said that you agreed with him. So I'm not going to ask you about that. What I will say is, are you surprised? I know, of course, you have got that big squad, but the amount of players that maybe you are selling on loan in, and I'm talking about maybe in particular positions such as attacking positions that you could be selling. Savini, obviously, let Grealish go on loan, McAtee to Forest. Lewis did look like he was going to go, but now I believe he's staying and signing a new contract. Does it surprise you maybe you're letting all these players go in a similar kind of position?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is Hugo Viana, new director of football's coming, and I think he's identified certain problems. I think he's looked at certain players and thought, realistically, are they good enough? Are they going to win you a Champions League? Are they going to go and, be first team players in a Premier League push? For example, Rico Lewis, it was a big shock when that news first came out. Same with Savio. I think a lot of City fans thought that's a strange one. That's normally not what we would do, not how we operate. But I think when you start to let it bed in, Rico Lewis is a strange one. Nobody actually knows where his best position is, Rico Lewis. He operates like a midfielder at right back. But we have very, very good midfielders. For example, Rodri Reinders now. He's not going to fit into that midfield area. And he's probably not good enough to play right back. So him going wasn't a massive... it wasn't a massive surprise once that bedded in. But I think in terms of the attacking positions, I think obviously the talk is Rodrigo coming in for that side to replace Savio. For me, again, I don't really rate that signing for me. I think it's because he plays for Real Madrid. I think if you stuck him in most other sides, I don't think he would cause the excitement he is. Even without Savio, I still think we have a lot of options. Cherky can play wide left, wide right. Foden the same. You've got Doku. Marmoush can play left. I'm pretty sure he could probably play right if you needed him to. Oscar Bobb's come back in as well now. He was fantastic against Wolves. Someone that we're really excited about. Obviously, he got injured at the start of last season and missed the whole season, which was disappointing. So he's back as well. So I don't think there's a massive need to replace Savio if he goes. Obviously, those options I've just mentioned is probably why Savio is looking to leave as well. But I think Rodrigo can play anywhere across the front three, and he just adds another option. Pep apparently really, really likes him, so obviously he's got a plan in mind, and he's willing to let Savio go to bring him in.
Okay, thank you. The transfer window closed tonight. You said you've been happy with it. What would you rate it out of 10?
I still think we need a right back. Definitely. I don't think Matheus Nunes and Rico Lewis are long-term right back options. I think they will do for this season. We normally play with an inverted left back. You actually look at City's history of left back signings. I think the last proper left back we signed was Benjamin Mendy. We all know how that turned out. But before that, it was I think we had Gael Clichy-Kolarov. Since then, we've been playing with, for example, Fabian Delph, Zinchenko, Cancelo, not left backs, but I've kind of inverted in. So we've almost swapped that this year to play with more of an inverted right back. So I think it will work, but whether it's a long-term thing, I don't know. I still think we need a right back. Livramanto's been spoke about a lot. A lot of problems at Newcastle, though, at the minute. I can't see them letting another high-profile player go. So I think that would be the only thing. So if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it an 8 at the moment. But again, that's just based on one game.
Okay, that's really positive. I wish I could say the same about my club, is all I'll say on that one. We will move on to the game now itself. Firstly, how do you view Tottenham as a club and their supporters? You say you worry when you go and play Tottenham. Do you respect maybe Tottenham supporters? Do you envy them? Or do you not really care?
I think as City fans, we tend to more gravitate around the Tottenham Everton, for example, rather than the Arsenal and the Liverpool. I think we kind of still see ourselves within that graphic, even though obviously we have gone on to win things recently. I think it's just kind of that divide between that, as people are calling it, the red cartel sort of clubs and everybody else. And I still think we, as fans, like to see ourselves within the other side of that. We don't really like to see ourselves associated with those three in terms of, how they're viewed. So I think for me, I don't mind Tottenham. I've got nothing against Tottenham as much as I hate playing Tottenham. I have absolutely nothing against. I don't really know too many Tottenham fans, obviously living down this part of the world. If it was a United fan, I'd probably know a lot more because I'd probably be living in London. Well, that's a bit tongue in cheek, but yeah, no, I enjoy playing Tottenham. The thing is, they're always good games. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely, always goals.
Always goals. There's always some jeopardy on the game as well. I feel there's always some sort of jeopardy. There's always something to play for within that part of the season when we play Tottenham. But yeah, it's always a great game, and I'm sure Saturday will be no different.
It definitely is. Who would you say is more, under pressure this season? Is Pep Guardiola under more pressure? Is it Thomas Frank?
I'd say obviously they're both under immense pressure from their own groups. I think both being the size of the clubs they are, they've both got very high expectations. I'm sure you guys as fans are probably going to put a lot of pressure on Thomas Frank, especially after last year when you won the Europa League, which was a great win, by the way. So I think you're going to want to go upwards from there. You're not going to want to see you're not going to want to see yourselves go backwards, which I suppose winning nothing would, I suppose, from your point of view, be seen as going backwards. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but I'd say Pep's always going to be under pressure because of what's expected. He's expected to win everything every year. I mean, last year we didn't win a trophy and he got slated for it. Sorry, but obviously the FA Cup loss against Palace didn't really bode well for him either. But it wasn't necessarily a bad season on paper in terms of league position. Where we ended up third it's not a bad season, really. But because he didn't win any trophies, it's always going to look bad.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think, of course, it'd be frustrating not to win something, but I'm afraid the way the club have gone about it in terms of the Ange sacking in the statement and the Frank appointment with the statement, where you think about that decision, it's all about competing on all four fronts. In my eyes, we don't have the squad at this moment in time to compete on all four fronts and also win a trophy. I can see it's like you said to me, I can see it finishing sixth or seventh and getting to, like I said, the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. But in my opinion, I would rather us go out for one or two trophies, really prioritise them and try and win it. I'd like to say, look, of course you want to be in Europe, but if we win the FA Cup or League Cup, we're in a lot better position. So I just think last season was maybe we achieved something bigger than maybe the club realised, but that's just how I feel. There'll be some.
What's your opinions on the Eze to Arsenal deal, by the way, just while we're on?
Yeah, I'm quite frustrated. Of course, you don't know all the ins and outs, but I think Tottenham could have done a lot more, if I'm honest with you, mate. I think we could have escalated a lot quicker. And for me, you just look at, open your eyes a bit and see that Havertz gets injured on Sunday. For me, as soon as I heard that news come through my phone, I was extremely concerned. Reading that Arsenal want more attacking cover, and I thought, okay, I know Havertz doesn't play that position anymore, but just to be sure, escalate it quickly. And probably a lot of it was Palace wanting to find a replacement. And it just, what annoys me is Arsenal come straight in. It's a bigger bid, it's a bolder bid. They're offering more wage, more achievable add-ons, more money up front. I'm just thinking, really, we're not going to win this at all. We just allow Arsenal to come in. So we took too long to get it done. If we really wanted Eze, we should be challenging Arsenal. We don't, just let them, kind of come in. So mate, it really frustrates me how long it took, because Havertz got injured Sunday and they're going to sign and seal a replacement by the end of today. It's meant to be, if not absolute latest Friday. So within 5 days, and Tottenham's taken over a month since James Maddison done his ACL. That's what frustrates me. But I want to know how you feel about it as an outsider.
I actually don't think it's a bad thing for Tottenham. I think Savio is a much better option for Tottenham. Is a lot younger,
to be honest.
Well, yeah, but I mean, obviously that's going to set you back a lot of money, isn't it? I don't know how much Tottenham got to spend this summer, but I think Savio is obviously a lot younger. I think he's got a much higher ceiling. Next season, maybe Eze will have a better season, but I think long term, Savio is a much better option for Tottenham. I think that'll be a better signing for you personally. So when I seen that news, I wasn't too disappointed from a Tottenham fan point of view. Obviously, a lot of pressure on Arsenal now this year. A lot of pressure on Arsenal. I think with the money Arsenal have now gone and spent again this year, if they don't win the title or Champions League this year, it's a massive, massive, massive failure for Arteta. I'd be interested to know what their fans actually think about that if they win nothing this year, because obviously they've replaced issues that they thought that they needed replacing. Got Gyökeres in. There's no excuses for them this year, especially with Eze now.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. One to watch. Pressure is on Arteta, but quickly flicking back to Tottenham. For me, I think that the ball should be, in a way, even I'd go as far as saying apologising to Frank, because our two main targets were Gibbs White and Eze, and we failed to land, either of them. We haven't got it done. And as you said, it's a really saturated market in terms of a lot of people want attacking players. They want number 10s. Therefore, there's not a lot now available in the market, which is incredibly frustrating. I think, in my opinion anyway, that Tottenham saw, and I think us fans saw Sevilla as the left winger, the replacement for Son, saw Eze as the replacement for Maddison who's injured, or the Gibbs White replacement who never came, kind of thing. So I think that's a frustrating thing, knowing we probably won't sign another 10. It's probably just going to be Sevilla, and Sevilla would be great. I totally agree with you. But at one point where it looked like both, got Fabrizio one. It's not one or the other. They're completely separate deals. But I totally agree with you. I think we completely forgot almost about Sevilla and just focused on Eze, which is fine if you get the deal done. But we don't. That's the problem. But,
I think it's a much more bitter pill to swallow when it's to Arsenal as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. It's just predictable as well. I think us Spurs fans are really worried about it. I was hoping it was just like worried about nothing, but hey ho. That's how it went. But on to the match itself. How are you feeling ahead of the game?
It's a strange one, really, because obviously, like we say, it's only one game in. So in terms of how I feel like the game is going to go, it's really hard to predict. In the last 10 games, I think Tottenham have won 5 of the games, which is from a City point of view, it's massive, really, because we don't tend to obviously lose that many games. When it comes to playing Tottenham, obviously Tottenham are getting results quite a lot. At our ground, I think you've won 2 of the last 5. We've won 2, and there's a draw in between. So in terms of that, it looks good for Tottenham in terms of on paper. Tottenham tend to do really well, obviously, as we know, against City. But and I think that's why it's going to be a massive test, to be honest, for us. I'm really interested to see how Pep lines up, to be honest. We've obviously got Cherky in there now. He didn't start against Wolves. I think he looks like, for me, people talk about Reinders being a replacement for De Bruyne, but I think the way Cherky plays, how he picks the ball up and runs with it, I think he is the more likely to be the more of the De Bruyne player for me. I've not actually seen Reinders and Cherky play together yet. I think they both like to get forward, and I think that's something that worries Pep, especially with no Rodri at the moment. Obviously, he's going to miss the game. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful of a result, to be honest with you. I think Tottenham aren't done yet in the window. I don't think they're 100% comfortable with their starting 11, with the players that they're bringing in. It's obviously a new manager, new style. So I'm hoping that all that will play its part, and that's what's given me a bit of hope for a result, to be honest, on Saturday. Okay,
absolutely. Thank you. Any Spurs players you do fear, though, ones that could potentially cause you problems?
I really like Spurs' defence. I know, obviously, in terms of an attacking point of view, it's not going to cause problems, but I think on a counter-attacking point of view, with Tottenham being quite solid at the back, I really like Jed Spence, to be honest, as well. I think he's really emerged at Tottenham. I actually think he'd be a great right back for us, to be honest with you. I think somebody was talking about it at the start of the year. I know, well, he's just signed a new deal, hasn't he? But I know I heard some people speaking about it, and then I watched him against PSG. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, to be honest, even though he was left back that night. Rapid player. So I really like him. I think Tottenham have got the basis of a very good team. Just need to add a few more components. I'm glad Son's gone. He was a nightmare for us, to be honest. I think he always causes problems. The only good thing he did was missing that one-on-one a few years back. Apart from that, again, I'm going to have to obviously let Tottenham's team and style of play bed in a little bit more. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch.
Absolutely will be. Share that with you. On the other hand, though, who can hurt Tottenham from Manchester City the most? You speak about new signings, players you're happy to see. Is there one, if you had to pinpoint one in particular, that you think goodness me, this is where we can exploit Tottenham. Maybe it's a weakness of Tottenham in that kind of area. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Again, I suppose it depends on who plays. I think against Burnley, you had Brennan Johnson and Jed Spence on the left-hand side. Both very attacking, both right-footed players. So I think that could be an area where we could exploit. I think. Okay. Again, it depends who Pep decides to start. Doku obviously mainly plays on the left-hand side. Bob played on the right-hand side that game. So I think we'll have a similar setup to the one that played against Wolves. I can't see it changing too much. So I think the right-hand side will be where Pep might look at exploiting. But again, it really just depends on who plays, doesn't it? I don't think either manager has really looked at it and knows their best 11 yet.
No surprises it going into the start of the season. But can I ask you about your predicted Manchester City starting 11?
Yeah, I think Trafford will start in goal. That's the hope and expectation. I think Nunes will most likely start right back, even though it was Lewis against Wolves. Again, I think it will be Diaz Stones. Vadiol's only just come back into training, so I can't see him starting. Ait Nouri will start left back. Defence pretty much picks itself, I think, this weekend. Sorry. Again, I think the midfield will be very, very similar. The only question mark will be, will Cherki play? I mean, that's the only question mark. The other one is possibly Marmoush on the left rather than Doku.
Right.
I prefer to see that personally. Doku a very good player in certain games, but I'm not sure whether that would be a game that I can see him really excelling in. I think we need to go with more of a two up front. Marmoush playing off Haaland, I think, would be a better option.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you very much. So that's your, predicted Man City start 11. Is there anybody in particular you want to see start? I think you maybe have already answered that, so apologies if you have, in terms of you want to see, Marmoush in that team, maybe not sure if Doku has the right game for him. Is there anyone else that you think maybe should have a chance or should get in there that maybe Pep won't turn to?
My only worry would be where Cherki's going to fit into the side if Reinders also plays. The only position I can see Reinders taking up if Cherki taking up if Reinders also plays would be maybe on either left or right wing. Because I don't see without Rodri how Reinders and Cherki can both get forward. I think Reinders is a very versatile player. I think he can stay back if needed, but I don't think that's the best use of his talent, to be honest. There was a lot of talk about whether they can play together or not, and I've actually not seen them both play together from the start of a game yet. But that would be something I'd like to see. Whether Pep will do it, I don't know. But it's something that I think a lot of us are wanting to see as fans.
Okay. I hope for your sake that you do see it, maybe after this game, if it's going to be effective. But can I ask for your score prediction and scorers, please?
I'm trying to think about my fantasy team here as well. I've got to take that into account. I think I'm going to go 3-1. I think Haaland is somebody who always has a fantastic August. I think he's already started off again with 2 goals already. So I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to go Haaland getting 2. I'm going to get an Oscar Bob. I think he'll start on the right. And for Tottenham, I'm going to go with a Kudus goal.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to be quite bold from a Tottenham point of view. I say now I absolutely take a point. I'm just purely riding on the optimism and kind of positive energy, I suppose, of a new season, which has been crushed in the last few hours, let's say. But I'm still feeling quite positive. So, yeah, I'd never like to predict Tottenham to lose, but, I won't be completely upset if we do, because I think we go into this expected to lose. Would that be fair to say, Josh, that maybe City are the favourites in this one?
I think City go into most games as favourites, especially at home. I think that's always how it's going to be viewed. Another thing, though, I think Kulusevski's not playing for you. He's another one that he just always seems to cause us some problems all the time. I think his best games ever is probably against City in every single game he's ever played.
Yeah. Oh, think we lost your audio there. But Kulusevski has absolutely been keen. It's a shame that he's out injured. You'll be glad to hear that he is for this one. But before we do some end of season predictions, I just want to do what I call it like City memories and identity. There's a few questions about you as a City fan and what City means to you. And the first question is, what's your earliest or favourite memory? You could choose either. It could be both. In one, supporting Manchester City.
Well, I started. I got my first ever season ticket in 2003 when the ground originally opened. I've been going ever since. Dad used to take me to Main Road when I was younger, so I used to go and see a few games. I've not really got a great memory of Main Road, to be honest with you. It's still quite fuzzy, that one, to be fair. I suppose my favourite memory is probably when City beat United 4-1 with Sean Wright-Phillips scored from right out to the touchline. He kind of comes in, lobs it over Howard in goal. Just the atmosphere that day was absolutely amazing. I was only a kid, but it was just everybody, the atmosphere outside the ground, going from the terraces down to the, outside the stadium, just everyone singing. It was just the fact that we had no expectations going into the game like we do now. The pressure was off going into those big games. So when you come away with a 4-1 win like that, it's absolutely huge. It'll always sit with me, that one.
Oh, that's nice. It's really nice to hear. So thank you for sharing that. It's lovely. Who's your all-time favourite Man City player and why?
I would have said Sean Wright-Phillips, I think. For me, he's always been one of my favourite players of all time. I think I've got about 6 shirts with Sean Wright-Phillips on the back. But I'd have to probably say Aguero, to be honest, looking at it now, objectively. I absolutely love Aguero, to be honest with you. Not just for what he's done, just the way he played. The way he played the game, he was just unbelievable to watch. And he give us 10 years of his best, and you've got to respect that. Obviously, statue outside the stadium as well.
Yeah, what an absolute icon indeed for the Premier League and also for Manchester City. What's your favourite memory as a Manchester City fan in a game versus Tottenham?
This might be quite an obvious one, but probably back in the FA Cup, the 4-3 game, John Macken's last minute header, 3-0 down. Obviously, Joey Barton getting sent off at half time. That was massive. I actually turned the game off, to be honest with you. I turned it back on. I turned it off. I turned it back on just as Sean Wright-Phillips scored to make it 3-3. And just that last period of the game was just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I think we got knocked out the round after, so it's not... Didn't really go very far, but just in terms of that game, yeah, absolutely. We haven't got too many good memories against Tottenham, to be honest with you. But that one was massive, definitely.
Okay. Do you think you're kind of, I don't know, bad record almost? Yeah, bad record, fair to say, against Tottenham in recent years. I know that it mainly is away for you, but do you think that will start to change, in particular in that reverse fixture when it is at the top of the stadium? Considering Thomas Frank is like a completely different manager, because we had an excellent record under you. We have had it on a previous, kind of managers, and a lot of managers, but it's mainly been under defensive managers like Mourinho and Conte who know how to play Pep Guardiola. Do you think that could be different now under Frank? You could get more joy against Tottenham?
To be honest, even when we played Brentford, it was always a very hard game. Brentford beat us in the treble season, actually, at our place 2-1 just before the international break. I think it was the first loss of that season, I think. So Brentford has always been a very, very tough game. So I'd imagine Frank going to Tottenham is still going to be a very tough game. He's got better players now as well. So I don't expect it to get any easier. No, I don't. I still think... I mean, Tottenham have had loads of managers in the past. We've had loads of managers in the past. And we've still always struggled against Tottenham. It's one of those weird voodoo things in football that you just can't write, isn't it? Wigan's another one. We have Wigan as well. Strange. You can't explain this bogey term in football, but it's just there. So no, I think it'll always be a game we'll struggle with, unfortunately.
Okay. Again, I appreciate your honesty on that. Something that you can't ignore. Let's end with some end of season predictions then. Let's start with... Well, we're going to do this. So we're going to do City League, Spurs League, then City Champions League, Spurs Champions League. So we do competition by competition. So we'll start with your side, Man City, and with the league, if you had to commit now, where will Man City finish in the league and why?
I'm going to have to say first. I'm going to say first
Okay.
because I can't possibly say anything other than that. I think our experience, I think if you look at Pep's record as well, every time he's lost a league title, he's always come back a lot stronger and won it again. I think we've got a fresh backroom staff. The team looks fresh, high energy. And I think compared to Liverpool, I think we actually look a little bit more well-rounded, weirdly. I think Liverpool, even though they've packed out a lot in the attacking areas, I still think they've actually got quite a lot of weaknesses defensively. And there's still going to be quite a lot of getting used to.
Against Bournemouth, it looked very open.
Yeah, even in pre-season, they look very open. And I don't necessarily... I think Liverpool caught a lot of teams off guard last year as well. I think a lot of teams kind of had a bad season all at the same time. So I am going to go first. I'm going to say first. I'm going to stick my neck out on that.
Okay, love it. I mean, I agree with you that in terms of Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, I think all of them are under real pressure to win. Understandably, Arsenal, the money's been spent for Arteta and how patient they have been with him. And Liverpool, they just won, well, the Storm, didn't they? The Premier League title, let's be honest with you here, in the end. And they've just got a record amount spent, 300 million here. And of course, it's all on attacking depth. So those three clubs have a lot of pressure. And even Chelsea, you could argue, to add maybe as an outsider to that conversation, for example, two strikers in Delap and, Pedro, they spent the cash as well. I think they're still not quite in, that conversation, maybe just as an outsider. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say they'd fall into that dark horse category. If you were looking at it, I think they have spent a lot of money, but you're seeing against Palace at the weekend that it's almost like they've got so much going on. I don't even think the manager knows who to pick at the weekend. I just don't think he knows his best 11 at all. I don't think he knew his best 11 last year. I think he's just got so many components that, and he's looking to add Garnacho to that as well. I don't honestly know. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. But yeah, I think you could probably put them in a dark horse category. For me, I don't think they're ready to win the league yet, though.
No, I agree with you. Maybe one more year. Where do you think my side Spurs will finish then in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think I did a predicted table the other day. I think I put Tottenham in 6th.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, I think I put Tottenham in 6th position. And again, I put Tottenham in still in a dark horse category to get into that top 4. It's not out of the question for me for Tottenham. I think it's all going to depend on between now and the end of the transfer window. And I think that's the same for a lot of teams. That's the same for a lot of teams. So, but yeah, if I had to stick my neck on it now, I'd say Tottenham 6th.
Yeah, okay. I'll absolutely take that. Let's move on to Champions League then to wrap up. City then, Champions League, how far are you going to
go? Obviously, I can't say anything other than winning the Champions League. I can't because I'm gonna have to say something, and I think I'm going to say we'll win it this year. But again, that's massively going to depend on the draw next week or the week after, whenever that comes in. Obviously, we really struggled with the Champions League last year. Really struggled with the intensity of it. I think playing in the Premier League as well as the Champions League with old legs, we just couldn't cope with it. So I think we have fixed that problem this year. And I think when I think about can we win it, it's more who else can win it if not us. And I think we can win the league, then I think we can win the Champions League as well. I think the English teams are the strongest. Obviously, you've got PSG, probably the exception to that, but nobody else scares me really in Europe at the moment.
Okay, that's good to hear. And last but not least, Tottenham, my side of the Champions League.
As it were, how far do I think you'll go?
Yeah.
I think again that's going to depend on the transfer window. I think it's going to be very difficult for you guys to compete in 2 competitions if you don't go and fill those positions that you mentioned before that you need filling. I think Maddison obviously is somebody that needs replacing, and you obviously need a winger as well. If you can get those 2 positions filled, then it could be a very exciting season for Tottenham. and it could be a case if you get through the group stages or the league phase now, as it's called, you could go anywhere. You could go absolutely anywhere, as we've seen in the past when Tottenham got to the final, which I don't like to talk about, but you've done it before. Why can't you do it again?
Yeah, I like that optimism. Absolutely. Please inject that into the fan base. And my last question for you, Josh, is on the subject of Champions League, and it links in with Europa League, the Conference League, and it's the new format. Same year it's been running, isn't it? Obviously a season now. What do you make of it? Do you prefer it? Is it not as good?
If you'd have asked me at the start of last year, I'd have said, why would you try and fix something that's not broken? I never felt like it needed changing. However, even though we were very bad in it, I did actually really enjoy the league phase. Obviously, the jeopardy kind of goes out of it towards the end of the league phase, and you kind of end up with those teams that are battling for playoffs, and then obviously you have the playoffs. So it does add another dynamic, I suppose. It's different. I wouldn't say it's better yet. I think it still needs a bit more time. Obviously, it's only been 1 year, but I wasn't disappointed as a whole by the Champions League last year. Obviously, our performance was disappointing, but as a whole, no, I think it was new. It was quite exciting, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes this year.
I feel exactly the same as you. I think we probably even had this conversation. I think this time last year on a different preview, if I remember correctly. We're both like, at the start, why would you change, as you say, something? It's perfectly fine as it is. I'm not keen on how it looks, but now I quite enjoy it. I mean, it's a lot more games, so for us and fans, there's more thrills, more entertainment. I think there's a little bit hypocrisy, if I'm being totally honest with you, in terms of they talk about player welfare and trying to reduce the games they're playing, but the new format means they actually play more games. But nonetheless, it's very exciting.
Yeah, you need big squads now to compete in Europe. You need really big squads. I don't think you can, as we proved, I think last year, you can't go into it with a lackluster squad and expect to also perform in the Champions League. It just wouldn't work. I think our league performance actually got better when we got knocked out of the Champions League last year. I think it was really telling. And I think that says a lot really about it. I think you need two top players for every position really to compete.
You certainly do. And hopefully for both our clubs, we can have that by the end of the window. But Josh, that kind of wraps up nicely for this preview. Thank you very much for joining me. Where can people find you on the socials?
So we're called the City Shack on everything. Like I say, Facebook, TikTok has just started. I've only just started that this year, but Twitter, that again is just the City Shack. Just type that in. I don't think there's anything else called that off the top of my head. So that should come up. That should come up straight away. Lovely stuff. Thank you so much for your time. If you're listening on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please drop a follow and a 5-star review. Come on, you Spurs, and enjoy the game. And hope you enjoyed this opposition preview.